This video is sponsored by Truco Republic, the precious metals experts. Talk to one of their experts today about diversifying your portfolio to help assure your future financial security. Find their contact information in the description below and pinned in our first comment. James Kaufman, World News Report today, July 17th, 2024. God bless you and yours, no matter where you are in the world. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell for critical future updates. An analysis of Crooks' impossible path to the Butler, Pennsylvania Trump rally. This ladder you see here, ladies and gentlemen, is an FBI ladder. It's over 10 feet tall. Remember, Mr. Crooks bought a 5-foot ladder and carried it, a rifle and a backpack, over a mile through all the people at the rally, unnoticed. And we know how early people show up at these rallies. Ridiculous. Let's listen to this. By the way, this is where he, transported his 5-foot rally and all of his equipment, and he parked well over a mile from the building and carried it all with him. It just gets funnier. Let's listen.
In the aftermath of the attempted assassination of President Trump, federal law enforcement can't figure out a motive for the shooter, and they can't get into all the details of his phone, but they are 100% sure that he acted alone. Crooks' impossible path to the roof at Butler, PA rally, analysis. What does not make sense is how a 20-year-old nursing home food attendant managed to find one spot with a direct line of sight to President Trump, and how Thomas Crooks managed to know of all the ongoing security lapses and failures that day, including the reassignment of the Secret Service to Jill Biden, who had a function in Pittsburgh the same day. Another part of the story that makes no sense is that 20-year-old Thomas Crooks, who lived an hour away before he went to the rally, knew that he would need a ladder in order to scale the walls and take a shot at President Trump. According to federal authorities, Crooks stopped at Home Depot on his way to the rally in his hometown of Bethel Park and bought a 5-foot ladder. Initially, the pictures leaking out from the rally's aftermath showed a ladder that was in place near where Crooks' body was found, on top of the American Glass Research Manufacturing Company warehouse near the Butler Farm Show Airport.
What a total joke. How to get the ladder up there. I'm going to show y'all how they said he did. The problem is the container the storage unit won't hold even 20 pounds of weight on it. Yet he supposedly stood on it and jumped up on the roof.
But pictured above is a 10-foot ladder, and one that large would not fit in Crooks' car, so there would be no way for him to get it from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, to Butler, Pennsylvania. It also makes no sense how Crooks would have been able to do enough advanced research and investigation beforehand to know the security protocols of the Trump rally, and know the details of which building to get on top of, to take sniper shots at Trump. Here's the exact quote from USA Today on this point. Hours before the shooting, Crooks stopped at a Home Depot in his hometown of Bethel Park and purchased a ladder, CNN and NBC reported, citing unnamed law enforcement officials.
Always unnamed law enforcement officials. Again, I believe this is the FBI's ladder, not the 5-foot ladder he bought, but either way, neither one of them would fit in his car. There's no possible way, even hanging out the trunk. Wait until y'all hear that he put the ladder on this container here that actually says the top of it won't even withstand 20 pounds of weight, only to put the ladder again up on this container, as you'll see, that can't hold 20 pounds of weight, and then make it up on the roof. Now, how did the policeman join him up on the roof, the one that retreated? Believe it or not, they also took pictures of Crooks 26 minutes before Trump went on stage from quote-unquote inside this building, but they didn't go outside. The Secret Service instead sent the pictures up command, and Trump wasn't stopped from going on stage. They just kept going. Let's listen to this joke.
Here is CNN describing the ladder purchase and sourcing it to unnamed law enforcement officials. On Friday, he went to a shooting range where he was a member and practiced firing, a law enforcement official told CNN. The next morning, Crooks went to a Home Depot where he bought a 5-foot ladder at a gun store where he purchased 50 rounds of ammunition, the official said. Bethel Park is 45 miles and 60 minutes south of Butler, Pennsylvania. Bethel Park only has one Home Depot location at 4000 Oxford Dr. Bethel Park, PA 15102.
So he drove over an hour with a 5-foot ladder sticking out of his trunk? Come on. That should be on every camera from there to the rally. Everyone knows this is a crock of you know what. Again, how did the policeman get up there to confront him as the police chief has admitted?
It is claimed by mainstream media that Crooks bought a 5-foot ladder for the rally. The lightest 5-foot ladder sold by Home Depot weighs 12 pounds. Crooks' height and weight are not released, but assuming he is an average male of average build, he likely weighs around 190 pounds and is
The gun weighs another 7 pounds plus scope, so 8 pounds. So he's carrying over 20 pounds in a backpack over a mile, and no one notices him?
5-9. Crooks was driving his Hyundai Sonata to the rally. We know he has a backpack, an AR-15 style gun, and brings himself to the roof of the AGR building at 6:15. Whitestown RD Meridian. Whitestown RD Meridian, PA 16001 according to authorities. An AR-15 weighs 7 pounds. So with his body weight, ladder weight, and gun weight, Crooks is 209 pounds. With a 5-foot ladder, there is no place for Crooks to easily gain entry to the roof of the building, which is about 10 plus feet tall. Crooks was allegedly observed through a window where a counter-sniper team was located inside of the building. Crooks was attempting to scale. It appears that the location where Crooks would most likely have been observed through a window and placed a ladder to have gotten access to the roof is near the backloading bays at the AGR facility, pictured below.
There's only one window. It's this one. They say you put the ladder up here and here, but the Secret Service didn't leave the building. They just took photos and sent them to command. This is 26 minutes prior to Trump getting on the stage.
Crooks then brings the ladder, places it, and climbs up and gains access to the roof, according to the official story. Here is CBS using anonymous law enforcement sources to tell a highly implausible story about the alleged sniper Thomas Crooks, where Crooks manages to find the one building on site with a perfect line of sight to President Trump. Crooks manages to pick a building with counter-snipers inside of it, and Crooks manages to alert a sniper so that he takes action. But the action is only to take a picture on his phone and forward it somewhere else.
He took a picture but didn't go outside of the building? This is getting harder and harder to believe each moment.
And Crooks was fortunate enough to be able to walk around on the roof of a building where the counter-snipers below were too busy texting photos of the people they were there to shoot.
Laugh out loud.
Details continue to emerge on Tuesday about the sequence of events leading up to the shooting.
It was an aluminum
In addition
roof.
to the ammunition that he purchased, the gunman also bought a ladder at Home Depot before the rally on Saturday, 2 law enforcement sources told CBS News after it was first reported by CNN. Home Depot condemned the violence in a statement. It was unclear whether the shooter brought that ladder to Trump's event, where he ultimately ended up on the roof of a building about 410 feet from the main stage, and just outside the bounds of a security perimeter established on the property, according to law enforcement sources, and video analyzed by CBS News. Along with witnesses who recalled seeing the gunman, multiple law enforcement officers were aware of his presence on the roof just before the shooting happened. 3 snipers from local tactical teams had been deployed to assist Secret Service agents at the rally and were stationed inside the building that the shooter used in the attack. A local law enforcement officer with direct knowledge of the events told CBS News.
Ridiculous. They were took pictures 26 minutes and were afraid to leave the building. It was an aluminum roof. They heard him on top. They saw him climb up. This is getting hard to believe.
The security operations plan had them stationed inside in order to face the rally and scan the crowd through the windows. Local news outlet beavercounton.com initially reported details about the 3 snipers. That's when one of the snipers took a picture of the gunman and then saw the shooter looking through a rangefinder minutes before he tried to assassinate the former president.
This just gets better and better as we go. So 3 of them were inside. It was a metal roof that he was on. They saw him climb up with a rangefinder, climb back down, get the gun, climb back up, and no one left the building? But they sent the picture up command. This is the storage facility you see outside the building. It says that the top of it can't even withstand 20 pounds of pressure. So how did he get on it? With a ladder, a gun, and himself weighing about 210 pounds. He would have fallen right through. Let's continue.
The officer said. The sniper radioed to the command post right away and tried to send the photo that he'd taken of the gunman up the chain of command. Online sources have placed the ladder on top of a structure next to the back loading bay, seemingly validating the online theory that fits the federal narrative being put out by law enforcement. Here's a clip of one such image that is circulating online. These 2 images serve to validate the implausible federal version of events. It explains that the police were the ones with the 10-plus-foot ladder observed elsewhere, and that Crooks' ladder could have been easily placed next to the loading bay to gain entry to the roof. This image makes the federal narrative make some bit of coherent sense as to how Crooks got onto the roof.
However,
so when your Gateway Pundit reporters approached the AGR facility yesterday, as we were being told to leave the premises by both the FBI and the Pennsylvania State Police, we snapped a quick photograph of that spot. And we managed to identify what structure is next to the loading bay in that spot. The structure that Crooks could have placed his 5-foot ladder upon to get access to the roof. It is a Craftsman 4FT x 6FT resin storage shed. They retail online for $600. Here's the manual for the Craftsman 4x6FT resin storage shed. The manual is very clear that you should never place anything on top of the shed. The reason one should not stand on the shed is that the roof of the resin structure is not reinforced, so it cannot support any weight. The roof is purely a decorative piece to keep rain off of the shed. It cannot support any weight. The support for the shed can only support 20 pounds per square foot, meaning that every step that Thomas Crooks took on such a structure should have collapsed the roof and brought Crooks to the ground. There is no current, coherent, plausible way that Crooks got to the roof. The available story in the mainstream media, sourced anonymously, is not credible.
So here's the window they took the pictures out of, but they didn't come outside the door. Here is the shed that he put first the ladder on to get up to the top of the shed. Then he has the gun, the backpack, and the ladder, and himself on top of a shed that only holds 20 pounds of weight. Then he puts the ladder on the shed to get further up on the roof, which is over 10 feet tall. This is getting tough to believe. Tough is an understatement.
If law enforcement is lying to the media about how the shooter got onto the roof, it kills the credibility of federal law enforcement in this matter. Oddly, when the Gateway Pundit came up to the AGR building, we were quickly escorted off the parking lot. But there was a large FBI van on site, even though Thomas Crooks' body had been removed on Saturday night. There should not have been any evidence left to process at that spot, and no other work to be done. If the agents were there for optics for the public, they were working well out of view of the mainstream media. The on-site agents referred all media questions to the Pittsburgh FBI field office, who very quickly informed the Gateway pundit that they had nothing to offer us. Law enforcement is now suggesting to friendly mainstream media outlets that Crooks got onto the roof by climbing air conditioner units. The story keeps changing as their prior stories continue to fall apart.
And, ladies and gentlemen, this is getting harder and harder to believe. Onto air conditioner units and carrying a rangefinder where they take a picture of him with a rangefinder up there and then send it to command instead of actually exiting the building. The whole thing is, well, you know what it is. If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck and swims like a duck, it's a duck. God bless you and yours. Please share, subscribe, and always remember, anything's possible in Bizarro World.